Hi guys, Ben here from carpfishingguide.com and welcome to this episode. In this episode I'm going to be talking a little bit about the weather and how that affects your fishing. In particular I'm going to be talking a little bit about wind. Now if you're watching this right now as this goes live, across the whole of the UK you'll find a lot of really pretty terrible weather. But this might not always be a bad thing when it comes to carp fishing. I went on a session yesterday, and yesterday, certainly where I live, in Kent, in the UK, we had pretty abysmal sort of rain. There was a really bad easterly wind, which was going sort of, in the lake which we were, was going sort of left to right, basically across the stretch of the lake which we were fishing. So I took a friend with me who hadn't seen the lake before, and looked around. We were pretty much on our own actually at the time. We got there about sort of 7 o'clock in the morning, and so we had pretty much free pick of the swims. Now when it comes to wind direction, what you want to look at is certainly which way it's blowing, and you need to understand and maybe have a compass or check this before you go out. It's the age-old fabled saying, east the least and west is best, and that actually does ring true. The reason being, if you have like a north or easterly wind, generally that is going to be a colder wind because it comes off from areas where there's cold weather basically, and it will come in and effectively it will make the lake cooler, and this really turns the fish off from feeding. When it comes to westerly winds, those are generally going to be warmer. And so therefore what you want to look at, or southerly winds that is, as well. So what you want to generally look at is to actually be sitting in front of a westerly or southerly wind, as generally they'll be warmer. When it comes to, as I say, the easterly and the northerly winds, you want to probably look for areas of your lake where you'll be in the lee of the wind, i.e. areas which are sheltered from that wind. So look out for sort of the back of islands, or in the on the back of that wind. If there's, like, for example, where we were fishing yesterday, we were fishing right on the very margins of the lake, and on that margin of the lake there was actually trees. So basically the wind was not getting to that sort of part of the lake, and we caught very well actually. The other thing to look at is actually the pressure of that you'll find basically if you go to websites such as MetCheck or the BBC website. They'll give you the pressure, the air pressure that is going on that day. What you generally find is the lower the pressure, the more heavily carp tend to feed off the bottom. In higher pressure situations, they're more likely to come up the top. The problem is with that, it's not a case of, well, in which case I'll put a zig out at sort of mid to top level. They actually do feed a little more sporadically, basically. So generally what you'll find, higher pressure, you're less likely to get a bite. Whereas, as I say, low pressure, you'll get it. You'll be able to get it quite happily down the bottom. Also, one of the other things to look at is cloud coverage. Albeit it's not the be all and end all, but if it's a bright sunny day and high pressure, you've got the elements against you, as it were, which would seem kind of strange because, you know, we always associate the weather against you being that, well, that's going to be absolutely torrential downpour and cloudy and everything, but actually it's the opposite when it comes to fishing. When it's sunny with high pressure, you want to be looking at using something like a zig rig, or even going to a surface fishing method. However, if it's, as I say, low pressure, cloud, maybe a bit of rain or light showers, etc., then you want to be down on the bottom, and you'll be you'll be surprised about how much more carp you can actually catch by just understanding how the weather affects your fishing. So that's my top tip for today. Have a look at the metcheck.co.uk and the BBC weather site. Also, if you have something like an iPhone or anything like that, or have a look on the App Store. There's a fantastic app made by a company called iAngler. It's called Fish Forecast, and this will give you the forecast for the next day, or in fact I think it gives you to 3 or 4 days in advance of your fishing trip. Have a look at the weather
and also on there it will tell you what species you can be catching. Obviously, being carp fishing channel, we're going to be targeting for carp, but also it'll give you an idea of what sort of methods are going to be best in those conditions that's showing for that day. So that's my top tip. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want more top tips on rigs, bait, watercraft, any subject to do with carp fishing, go to my website www.carpfishingguide.com, and while you're there, don't forget to download my free report on my 20 top tips to help stop you blanking. My name's Ben, Tight Lines.